Me and my friend Aquaboy absolutely destroyed one of Astrobot's hardest levels. The level's name was Suck It Up, and it quickly became a level that many flat out refused to play due to the absolute insanity that had now been made mandatory to get a top time on the level. And at the top of that leaderboard sat myself and Aquaboy, looking down and laughing at people struggling to match what we had done. But first, a bit of background info. On the 10th of July, Astrobot had 5 new levels added to the Galaxy Vicious Void, which intended to be the most challenging levels added to the game yet. Me and Aquaboys, who you may know from my previous video covering the coin skips, please go and check it out, it's very cool, very good, as well as the rest of your community, were all there and ready for the chaos of release day. Now usually it was just one level at a time, but this time, no. Asobi thought it would be a great idea to release them all at once. This was, as you can imagine, pure chaos, and with everyone waiting to grab an early record on a level while Nath was in the corner, slowly breathing into a paper bag, struggling to keep track of what records had occurred. Myself and Aqua, however, we were drawn to one level in particular out of the 5, and that level was Suck It Up. Being the avid Helium Heights player that I am, naturally the first level that I gravitated towards when the update released was High Inflation, purely because of the balloon ability. And although that went very well for me, that isn't what we're here to talk about. While I was over there, players such as BlaBla77006 and Eldorado is God, whose streams are actually unreal on release day, kid's insane. Is he a kid? Might be an adult, I don't know. They managed to grab themselves some early records before a player named Cat and Candy decided to become the front runner of the level during the opening couple of hours, getting nearly all the records in this time period, with Whitby popping up as usual being the only real exception. This is where I decided to step in. Having world records on levels such as Trunk of Funk and High Suction Hero, I knew very well how to use the elephant power-up going into the run. And since it was still early days, there wasn't really a video of the current route being used by Cat and Candy, so I decided to make one myself. And it would turn out that that was possibly the best decision I could have made. My first run ended with a time of 53 seconds, which was a decent first run, but was nothing compared to Cat and Candy's. Candy currently had a 44.3, and from that I could clearly tell that the intended route wasn't quite going to be the answer to getting the record here. So from that point on, I decided it was going to be a good idea to start experimenting with routes for the level. I think it's fairly obvious from my first one that the first idea I had was going around the wall instead of over it, as you could see me contemplating doing it in my first run. So in the second run I would give this a go and have great success, bringing my time all the way down to a 51, even though I literally fell off the stage halfway through and nearly died, but luckily saved myself. That is the skill level of a future record holder right there. So since the start of the level was fairly successful, I decided to do the same thing for my next attempt, but this time I would learn some valuable information that I could use a bit later on. It was possible to suck the honey up while on the spinning platforms while it was effectively vertical, meaning that the cycle of the platforms might be a lot more forgiving than we might think. This would be very useful when combined with something that I would find in a short while. This run would end up being a 49-second run and my cleanest yet, but it was clear that I was missing something. Whatever that something was, it was the answer to catching Cat and Candy. I was now fairly content with the start. It was the later half of that level that I felt I could work on. So back to testing I went. This time, when I made it to the rails, instead of skipping the second one, I instead decided to use the rails as they give you a little speed boost. And then used the ice to cut off a massive corner, getting my time all the way down to a 47, and then with the same route but a bit better execution, got a 46.5. I was now within 0.5 of Candy. So close. And of course the fact that I was so close to the record meant only one thing. I went to play other levels. Genius that I am, I got into second place and then decided now was the perfect time to go and play different levels. I'm not quite sure why, maybe it was due to confidence that I could get it later, but if I'm honest I have no idea why I stopped playing it at this point. I blame Aquaboys for previous trauma in the challenge levels. Once again, this move did end up working out for me, but again, not why we're here. So while I was away, this was the point where Whitby grabbed his usual record, and then Candy lowered the record multiple times, bringing it all the way down to a 44. So, coming off the back of breaking the 37 barrier and high inflation, I wanted to see if I could get 2 records at the same time, something for me which had always been a goal of mine. So, back to Suck It Up I went. After seeing Cat and Candy's current time, and after getting a PB with my current route, I realised that I needed something new if I wanted the record. So I went back to the drawing board, and as it happens, my next run will be absolutely massive. Not only had I figured out how I was going to beat Candy, but in the run I also lost boatloads of time by falling off the stage and having to save myself once again. Pure skill, I know, unbelievable. So, following in the great footsteps of Commander Fox, I used my Let It Slide knowledge and decided to fully try abusing the power of the ice mixed with the elephant. Remember my current shortcut with the ice? Yeah, that was only half the distance. Now I used it to its full potential, but that wasn't all I did here. As you know, I came up from the challenge levels, and there is a level there called Cut and Grind, made fully of rails. And in that level, obviously, you grind around a lot and you use the rails to get mass amounts of speed. And it turns out this is a speedrun, so mass amounts of speed is exactly what we're after. So I decided to use the rail to get just that. I did a small jump and then launched myself off to the right of the stage before starting to use the ice, effectively getting me all the way to the end of the level. And as per usual at the end of the level, there always has to be something that could go wrong. It didn't here, but just know it's very possible that you can miss the jump straight to the end platform. It's happened on multiple occasions and it is not in fact a very fun experience. Also with this new route, the massive spiky wall of death at the end of the level is no longer a problem, as we can just simply go around it, which is a nice bonus. It's worth saying that I have no idea what Cat and Candy's route at this point was, so I'm not 100% sure that I'm the one to discover this, but given how fast my next run was, I'm fairly confident that it wasn't this. I had now achieved my goal of having 2 records at once and broken yet another second barrier. But even in that run I messed up at the end and I knew I could easily get the next second barrier as well. I was very much enjoying the level and so I decided to keep going. So now's a good time to bring up arguably the most important mechanic within this level, and that was called Fast Suck. Don't laugh. Anyway, this trick is notorious in Astrobot community for being unbelievably annoying to get and having a hilarious name. I'm not sure of the exact origin of the trick, but whoever discovered it, if anyone. But what I do know is, having experience with it myself, that if you want to go fast with the elephant power-up, this is gonna be there. The name refers to the fact that when you suck something up using the elephant, normally you would lose all your sprint speed, but if you do it on the first frame of contact, you'll suck it up, pun intended, but you'll also keep that full sprint speed, saving a decent amount of time in the long run. The problem lies in the fact that in a level like this one, where there are 3 or 4 places to use the suck, it's gonna become a bit of a problem. To get the fastest run possible, that would mean nearly 4 frame perfect inputs would be required, given that's how many times you have to suck things up in the level. So, being the current record holder, I knew exactly what I had to do. Make the level as painful as possible to complete, so I stayed on the top. I posted my route in the Discord and quickly Candy had taken the record back, but I wasn't going down just that easily. Candy may have gotten the first 42, but I was getting the first 41. Candy got 3 records after I discovered the ending skip, but then I got a fast suck run being a 42.2, and then another, then a 2 fast suck run being a 42.1. But at this point it was clear to me that getting some fast sucks were more important than others, with the ice one being by far the least useful out of the 4. With that now identified, I knew what to do and what to go for. Well, I say that, I'll be going for all of them. I have 0 control over which fast sucks I get or not. But if I don't have any control over this, then clearly I was just insanely lucky. Getting a 2nd and even a 3rd fast suck on the spinning platform this time, which was effectively flat as a result of the first one that I got. Oh, and the time? A 41.7. The first ever 41-second run. Nearly a 2nd ahead of Candy once again. Oh, but this time in 3rd place was Aqua Boys. And he, as per usual, had nearly caught Candy. Challenge level boys were nearly at the top, and if we were to get top 2, the level may end up paying the price. And with the threat of Aqua Boys looming over my head as always, I kept going until I got nearly a perfect run. I got 3 out of 4 fast sucks, and although going for the safer end, the time was still a 41.4. Could a 40-second run be done? Could we get a sub 40? In my head, no, not with the current route at least, so I got to work. I knew there wasn't much we could do with the ends, given that it's effectively a straight line now, so I went back to the beginning. Me and Aqua and our top 2 and working together to lower our times in Discord, which will end very positively for the community. I'm sure this route will be very fun. Until suddenly I had the idea to see if we could get on top of the cannons that were firing the birds with just the 1 honey. If we could do that, we could use the extra honey to get to the 2nd row, skipping the need for the 2nd suck completely. I was originally hoping to jump on the birds like we did in Birdie Barrage, another challenge level reference, but that had been patched out a while back, so it didn't really work. Aqua doubted it, claiming that the height wasn't possible. I wasn't having it, to be fair. I knew that the height was in fact possible. It was just I couldn't get far enough to land up there. How could I keep enough speed to make it over there while still gaining the height? Oh. I had done it, but at what cost? I had made fast suck a requirement to get a top time. This run was a 40.8, but the run overall was nowhere near as clean as before. With only having 1 fast suck, this proved that it was the way to go. And with this newfound knowledge, I knew exactly what I had to do. A 39 was on the cards, and I could feel it. I was around 1.5 seconds ahead of Aqua and 2 seconds ahead of 3rd place, but I also needed sleep. I pushed it down to a 40.5, getting the ice fast suck to go with the new strap, and went to bed praying that Aqua hadn't beat me to a 30 by the time I had woken up. I was still a second ahead of him, so hopefully I had enough room, and had some time to get some rest and come back tomorrow. Turns out Aqua wasn't the only one I should have been worrying about when sleeping. That would be Mick. By the time I woke up, I got a time all the way down to a 40.291. As soon as I saw that, I went back to work. I wasn't going to have anyone take the 2nd barrier but me. In my desperation, I tried many things, and funnily enough, all of the things I tried would become useful later on, but weren't just yet. Before that, I had a mission, and that mission was 39. I knew Mick's route was the same as mine, and I made this, I couldn't let it go. And so a few hours later, this happened. I had done it. The first ever 39 in Suck It Up history. The fast suck on the spinning platforms was enough to get it there. I also had the high inflation record at this time as well, so it was a very productive morning for me. But there was something else that I used to help get that 39 as well that you may have noticed. And that was rope boost. Once again, some challenge level knowledge for you. If you spin in the middle of the air and hit the rope at just the right spot, you will launch the rope and grab it at the same time, allowing you to get a quick boost of speed and putting the rope at max height for a little bit. I'd remember that for future as it may become more useful, but for now it's just been a nice little bonus. Now that that goal had been achieved, the next was obvious to me. Figuring out how to beat the spinning platform cycle. As you can see at the minute, we've been needing to go to the right platform in order to get more honey to continue the level. My goal was to find a way to use that left one instead, so we didn't have to go out of our way to get the one on the right and basically be capped by it, which was unbelievably annoying. I was fine with losing the record for now, just in order to break another second barrier here after I solved this problem. So I started looking into the ideas that I had but weren't used in the first 39. Or at least weren't used to their full potential anyway. Like the ability to jump on the corner near the spikes. I could use it to skip the rope, but that didn't really do much. Still had to use both honeys to get there anyway, and so may as well just go for the rope. Oh my god, that's it. All I need to do is get up there with one honey and then use the honey to skip the suck needed like I did before. No idea if it would be quicker, but it would be a great backup strategy. Now only if there was a conveniently placed ledge right next to this corner. Oh yeah, that works, yeah. So that's the corner jump sorted now. We just need the chameleon to get to the chameleons with just the one honey. Screw this, let's put the left platform to good use, it hasn't done anything else. Oh hey, that worked! Oh, god. That worked. I am a victim of my own success. Meh, I'm used to this at this point. Pretend it's birdie barrage, I can get it back. Yo, I got it back. Time for bed. Ah, crap. Well, now that Aqua had used the new route to get the record, at least I knew the record would be in safe hands while I slept, as he simply does not sleep. And that he did by, well, not really being challenged. I suppose Shadow came close, which is something. Wait a second, hang on, Shadow's ahead of me. No, I can't have this. How do I get a second ahead of him? Last time I woke up, I instantly got the record back with something new. I wonder if that could work again. While I was going to sleep, I had the idea of using the rope boost we found earlier to get straight up to that corner with the spikes. And it turns out great minds think alike, as this was the first thing that Aqua pitched to me next time we spoke. And we got to work testing. It was close. Aqua was just barely too low to make it, and it just looked a little bit too high. But the problem with that is, I wasn't home from work yet. And since this is my video, we can't be having new stuff be found without me being involved, can we? So once I got home, I only had a few hours before I had to go back out again, so if this was going to happen, it had to be fast. Luckily, we are in fact speedrunners, and fast is kinda what we do. So just 5 minutes before I had to go, I was running out of hope. But then, this happened. Rope jump had now been confirmed possible. And not only that, but confirmed faster. This run was terrible, with Astro getting stuck on these bird cannons for unbelievably long. And several other things, to be honest. Honestly, the fact that this was the record was honestly a miracle. And I went out again, expecting Aqua to absolutely destroy this time by the time I got home. But to my surprise, he hadn't. Turns out the trick wasn't exactly easy. So I returned home once again, and first got warmed up by repeatedly failing fast suck for a solid 10 minutes. as you do before you actually start to get somewhere. I had made rope jump twice now, but just through the runs due to lack of skill. It was definitely doable. Next thing you know, I had a small PB, nothing major, still a 0.3, but a PB nonetheless. Anyway, we only set the community goal of a 38.x yesterday. It's not like I was even going to get close to that yet, was it? How in the name of Christ have I done that then? I knew this was the end goal, but like, what the hell? That is insane. The sheer amount of luck I must have used to string this run together was stupid. Both fast sucks, rope jump, no major ice slowdowns, decent rails. Everything seemed to go my way, and I was the first person to ever get a 38-second run, even skipping 38.9 somehow. I had now taken every second barrier all the way back to the 42 by Cat and Candy, and with that I felt like I could rest for a while and watch as others suffered, and suffer they did. It was only really me and Aqua that could get runs with a rope jump at this point, so we were kind of just flying above everyone else. My run would go on to last another few days before anyone else got even close to beating him. Well, I'll say anyone, what I really mean is Aqua, as he physically can't let me have anything. While grinding for his own 38, he managed to find an alternative way to get rope jump that didn't quite require as much height, but I'd hesitate to call it easier. And that was lizard jump. He figured out that you could jump on this poor defenseless lizard and have it launch you over to the ice with varying results. Seems challenge level experience was paying off for us, huh? But the reunion wouldn't be complete without the one that submitted the first challenge level run. And that was Naf, who had just joined us at the top. Quite fitting at the level that has the challenge level music. Poetic, really. After 5,000 attempts and 2 days of grinding, Aqua finally took the record away from my 0.8, just showing how ahead of its time my run was and just how relentless Aqua is. But that was nothing. He hadn't even started yet. By the time he was done, the level would be untouchable by anyone else. I knew how this worked. All I did was lay the groundwork, but Aqua, he was gonna perfect it. A second 0.8? Not good enough. Not for him. 0.7 without the ice fast suck? Nah, not even close. Wouldn't be until 0.6 where he faced his first challenge. Ideas such as look down strat were suggested by Commander to try and assist, but Aqua needs no such thing. His power was so great it caused Reddit to crash. All it took was some slight motivation, and it was done. The amount of 38s were racking up. Days go by before the next records, but the longer it took, the better Aqua got. Another 0.6? Meh. Another one? Average. Another one without the ice fast suck. The skill level had increased. It was time. 10,000 attempts in just over a week, and for this he had been rewarded handsomely with an absolutely insane screenshot. This had ice fast suck, so it's fair to say without it would have been similar to the last 0.6, maybe a bit better. When I first started this script it ended with us thinking that 0.6 or 0.5 would be maxed, but just look at how fast things can change. And when you think that's good, you've seen nothing yet. We are now at the point where any and all minor adjustments can make a massive difference, and this Aqua knew. Firstly, changing the line past the chameleons to be as straight as possible to help him get the time down even just a little bit. But even with this change, the time was strong. It wouldn't be until another small optimization was found by Commander Fox that this time would be beaten. At this point, Ice Fast Soak was basically a requirement, so if you wanted the record, just adding to the fun of the level really. That run would be the longest standing run yet, lasting roughly 5 days, proving how close to the limit the level was and being pushed, with Aqua having achieved a sub 39 over 100 times by this point. Having 3.4s, it was proving to be quite the task to beat his current time. Until... Wait, so what was different here? It looked just like the same as the 0.4 really. Might take some digging to figure out where the time save was here. Aqua had a suspicion, but it wasn't until Naf returned that we would learn the secret. It was the rail. Always has been. Naf at this point wasn't going for rope jump, as he was simply trying to get the first 38 without it. And on his quest, Aqua looked at one of his runs and saw a noticeable difference in how he got off the rails, further supporting what he had suspected. After playing around with this, he learned that if you hold diagonal up on your left stick when jumping off the rail rather than just right, you would save much more time. God knows how, but hey, it works. Along with optimizing where you jump off the rails, this could be the key in getting the time down. Equipped with this knowledge, there was only one thing that was going to happen. It was inevitable. And so by the end of that very night, the time was not only a 0.2, but on the brink of a 0.1. To think a little while back we thought 0.5 was going to be the max. Aqua was alone at the top at this point, focused on nothing but improving his time. A very admirable trait, and the dedication that you need if you want to be the best. And in this particular instance, he was the best. And it wasn't even close. Players tried the level to attempt to narrow the gap even a little bit, but they were struggling to catch me, let alone Aqua. The only player that came close was Commander before I instantly moved him back. Sorry, Command. And finally, on the 27th of July 2025, after having 338s on attempt 14,737, this happened. Mission complete. 0.1. Aqua could finally rest. I didn't know where I'd even start to improve this run. Like, the rail's weird, maybe could have lost a frame there, but like, it looks basically tool assisted to me. So have a guess, was Aqua content here? Hell no, of course not. And with the backing of the whole community, the mission continued. The mission for 37. Thanks for watching.